What's up, Lego builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios. It's 2023. A brand new year, the holidays are over, and it's time for some fresh ideas and inspiration. I've got 6 Lego mock building techniques that will help take your mocks from looking like this to this. Some of these are more complete builds than just one specific technique, but the two often go hand in hand and are so similar that you get the idea. You may have seen some of these in previous mocks, and now I'm pulling back the curtain and showing you how they all come together. If you're hyped for some more mock building techniques, don't forget to execute order 66 on that like button, and let's get started. Begin with a 2x10 plate and place a 2x3 plate on the back of it. On top of that, place 2 2x clip plates, and in front of those add 2 1x5 slopes connected in front of the clips and on top of the 2x10. Repeat the same process, but instead of the 2 clips, use 2 2x2 bar handle plates. These will connect to one of the clips on the previous panel we built. Repeat this process until you have 8 individual panels and connect them all together, and then flip them over so the studs are facing the ground. Make sure one of these panels has 1 clip and 1 bar plate instead of 2 of the same, and I'll explain why in a little bit. Next, take a headlight brick with studs on all sides and connect 4 1x1 cylinder bricks to each side. It doesn't matter what colors these are, as they won't be exposed. On top of each cylinder, place 2 round 1x1 plates. Repeat the process so you have 2 of these small builds. Connect the 2 builds to the underside of one of the panels previously built, and begin bending the rest around in a circle so you can connect to the studs and cylinders on the small builds. This is why one of those panels has a clip and bar on it, so that you can connect the whole thing together and you don't have 2 clips or 2 bars trying to connect to each other. This versatile circle technique can be used for all different kinds of stuff. It has a stud at the end so you can add a lid or cover to the top, and a hole at the base so you can connect it to a larger build. I used this same technique to build the giant engines for my Acclimator assault ship, and they worked great. Technique number 2 is a giant cable. Start with a 2x4 brick, and on top place 4 2x2 ball joints. I made a mistake in the video and forgot to put 2 2x4 plates on top of the ball joints, so make sure you do that before adding the other plate and cheese slopes on top. The extra plate will help keep the cables from pulling apart and will allow them to hold more weight. For the underside, stick 2 half pegs on a couple of 1x4 plates, and stick those plates on either side of the 2x4 so that the studs are facing up, and then cover them with cheese slopes. The second build is basically going to be the exact same, except this time use 2x2 sockets instead of ball joints. If you don't have the giant 2x2 ball joints, you could also try using the smaller 1x2 ball joints. Keep repeating this process until you have as many links as you need for your cable or chain. These cables are super strong and can be arranged in all kinds of shapes and positions. I used this technique to build sets of massive cables that held up a city in my Cato Nemoidia mock. Technique number 3 is much more simple than the previous 2, a good old brick wall. Start with a row of 1x1 headlight bricks with a regular stud in between each one. You can make the wall however long or short to fit your needs, just make sure the headlight bricks are alternating with the regular ones. For the second row, do the same thing, but make sure the pattern is switched so the headlight bricks are sitting above the regular brick. Repeat these alternating layers until you get to the desired height. Once the wall is finished, place a 1x1 tile at the beginning of the bottom row. These will represent the bricks of your wall. Next, place a 1x2 tile next to the first one and move it slightly so there's a gap between the two. Do this all the way down the row, ending with a 1x1 again. The second layer will be starting with a 1x2 plate, following the same process as the first row. I threw in a couple of round olive green tiles here and there for some variation in the color and shape. I love a good brick wall technique, and this one does not disappoint. Easy to build with simple parts, and you can customize it with different colors and pieces for the bricks. Also, you can move them around to make some of the bricks look skewed and crooked for a more rundown vibe. I got this idea from Tips and Bricks, an Instagram page. They're a great place to look if you're ever looking for new or cool techniques. Technique number 4 needs to be built in front of something, so I'm going to start by making a glass wall. This technique will be great for anyone building a Mandalore mock in particular. Once your wall or window is complete, start at the base with some slopes. Place them on top of each other and fill in the gaps behind with plate to create some kind of shape. There aren't any specific slopes you have to use, it just depends on what kind of shape you want to make. I'm going to build a straight section in the middle with some inverted slopes on top. I'm basically creating a window frame out of brick using slopes to make the different shapes. This will help the window look fancier and make it look like it's in a strong reinforced frame and part of an actual wall. It also allows you to build window frames in shapes you wouldn't normally be able to do because it's not in the actual window. I used this in my recent Mandalore mock and loved it. I want to try it again, but with more complex shapes and patterns. If you don't have a lot of pieces for wall greebling or detailing, this is a great option because all you have to do is build a flat wall or window, and then you can spice it up and make it look however you want with simple bricks and slopes. Technique number 5 is great for those looking for a more elegant or maybe ancient vibe. Starting with a 1x8 tile, add 1x2 jumper plates to the bottom and make sure the jumper plates on tile are the same color if you can. Repeat this process 4 times and set those to the side. Take a 2x2 plate and stick 4 headlight bricks on top so that one stud is facing each direction. On top of those, stack 5 2x2 bricks in the same color as your jumper plates and tile, and on top add 2 plates and a tile. Then take your 4 previously built panels and stick them on the studs, creating a nice round pillar. You can make these as tall or as short as you want, and they will immediately add a cool gothic or ancient vibe to your build. The last one is going to be hard to show because it involves a net, and I only have one which is currently in use. Technique number 5 is using a net to create a broken or damaged section of wall. I have a clip of me building a camo blanket which follows a similar building process, so stick some studs underneath the net holes poking up through them, but instead of adding different colored studs and tiles on top, add 1x1, 1x2, or 2x2 tile depending on what shape you want. Make sure to space them apart a little bit so your net can bend inward and be positioned in the shape you want. This will take a lot of trial and error, but once half your net is covered, connect it to the back side of the wall where the damage is going to be, and make sure to leave a ring of exposed net holes around the edge of the net so you can connect it to the wall with round studs. Stick the empty half of the net on the ground behind the wall. This will give you a flat bottom with a rounded top. I hope this wasn't too confusing, but a lot of these steps could change based on the size or shape you want to be building, so as long as you have the basics of what I did, it should be pretty easy to figure out. The cool thing about all these is that while I only showed you 6 techniques / builds with some basic steps to follow, there are so many places to modify and improve on what I did to create tons of different designs, giving you even more options to work with. I hope you found at least some of these techniques helpful, and if you have any questions or other tutorials you'd like to see me do, let me know down below in the comments and I will catch you next time. But until then, happy building.